I used the bye week to look ahead at some of the Texans' future opponents, and the Bills are fascinating right now, man, because they're 4-2, and I think of all the 4-2 teams that have miserable fan bases, the Bills fan base might be the most justifiably miserable right now. And I'm not saying anything in here that Bills fans I don't think are going to agree with me on. If you're brought here via the algorithm, Bills fans, you guys know that the teams that the Bills have beaten are a combined 3-21. They've lost 2 in a row, and I wanted to look at this through the prism of, okay, what can the Bills fix in the next few weeks before they face the Texans, where the Bills end up looking a lot more like the team you thought they were going to be coming into the season. The first one, and I think the entire NFL stands united with Bills fans on this. Why do they hate James Cook so much? Why did Brandon Beane seem reluctant to even bring James Cook back in the offseason? Going back to the championship game last year, I'm watching on my couch. I'm like, why is James Cook out of the game in the second half? You go to this game the other night versus the Falcons, and look, James Cook had one play on a 3rd and 1 where he converted, and this was sloppy blocking on this play too. If you even look at it, the tight end coming across misses his block, doesn't insert properly. You get the fullback up there at least, and he caroms off of his guy, but James Cook gets the first down. All the other short yardage situations in this game, you've got Ty Johnson on the field. Oh, wait, these are the Falcons' runs. We'll get to the run defense in a little bit. Here we go, short yardage plays. These are the short yardage. Oh, yeah, let's get cute. Let's get cute and botch this end around. Let's be sure we've got Ty Johnson on the field, who I don't think was looking at Josh when Josh knew he was hot on that play. Let's go to the last play of the game where, remember, this is an interception. I couldn't play the whole play because it took too long and copyright would have hit me. So you got to have Ty Johnson in the game because he's better in pass protection. Where is he? He's split out wide there. So it's an empty backfield. And the other thing about James Cook, I know they like Ty Johnson better as a receiver, and he was good on 3rd downs. I don't know why I'm getting angry at this. Presumably, I want the Texans to beat the Bills, but it's frustrating watching. James Cook is the second leading rushing running back in the NFL right now. He's going head-to-head against Bijan Robinson last week, and they really didn't choose to lean into the run game until the second half. They had 3 opportunities to score to tie the game in the second half there, and they ended up gaining 39 yards on those 3 series, those 3 possessions. It was really curious. I think Joe Brady sometimes just falls into that trap of wanting to be clever more so than being good. Sometimes the best way to end an argument is with a punch in the face, and I feel like James Cook is that punch in the face. So do they figure that out? Do they start leaning into him more and using him more like as an all-around back? As a receiver, I know they'll say, well, Ty Johnson's a better receiver. For the most part, whenever I see James Cook targeted or on a route, he's just running a rail route, same thing all the time, like very easy for defenses to diagnose. I know he had a couple drops earlier in his career, and maybe that's just still lingering. Frustrating if I were a Bills fan. As a Texans fan, still an opportunity to get him. The next area, 3 big areas that I would focus on. The defense. The defense for the Bills is kind of steadily degraded over time from year to year to year. This year, they've got some injuries as an excuse. In the secondary, they're all banged up. Max Harrison, their first rounder, who knows how good he actually is, but presumably he'd bring some speed. But they've been bad versus the run, particularly yardage after catch. I'm going to read an excerpt from Tim Graham at The Athletic while we watch some of these Falcons runs from the other day. Watch bad language coming up. Their run defense has done diddly poo. Despite amassing 26 tackles for losses on runs, 4th most in the NFL, they've allowed 5.8 yards per carry with 3.9 yards after contact, both league worsts. Only the Tennessee Titans, remember them, who fired their head coach this week, have allowed more than the Bills' 9 rushing touchdowns. Open field tackling has been diddly poo. It's safety. Sports Info Solutions has Taylor Rapp down for 7 Mr. Broken tackles, Cole Bishop for 3, most comically on Bijan Robinson's 81-yard touchdown on Monday night, which you just saw. Also, Jordan Poyer is back into the mix. 34-year-old Jordan Poyer was brought in mostly for brought back because they absolutely love him and for good reason, and for veteran leadership and what have you. They might be relying on him. So the biggest thing about that is that the injuries that they've had. Some of it looks like it's going to start getting better. Ed Oliver, I think he had a bad ankle. He came back and played the other night. They've got the two free agents they signed at defensive line in the offseason are coming off of suspensions, PED suspensions. I can't throw stones from my glass house because we had the same situation with Danico Autry last year. That was only one player coming off of PED suspension. So if those guys, if their testicular atrophy has waned and they're back and good to go, whatever gains they got from their PEDs, if they're still there, that could end up being an advantage for them. And then third, most notably, the passing offense and the receiver output. Watching that Falcons game, it felt a lot like the Texans game last year. The Bills came in, and they didn't have Khalil Shakir in that game, so Josh Allen had nobody, and he had no answers and no solutions. That Falcons game, they had Khalil Shakir, but the Falcons blitzed the piss out of Josh Allen. The pressure rate was absurd, and they just dared Josh Allen to just go ahead, dice us up. Dice us up as we blitz you and we play what would otherwise be a high-risk, high-reward proposition. They pressured the hell out of Josh Allen. He couldn't get the ball to anybody. The numbers on the non-Khalil Shakir receivers, they've averaged 89 yards per game collectively. That group hasn't gone over 100 yards since week 2. Who did they play in week 2? The New York Jets. So they've gotten nothing out of anybody about Khalil Shakir, and Khalil plays in the slot. So when you start talking about the boundary receivers, it's pretty easy to game plan against them when they've been playing the way they have. Allen's been sacked a bunch this year, 14 times this season. 14 times all of last season. This year he's been sacked 12 times already. 8 over the past 3 games. He's got a career low 2.0 seconds of pocket time. So the offensive line hasn't been protecting him well, but partly he also just doesn't, he can't get rid of the ball quickly because they've got nobody threatening out on the outside. My concern would be that they go out and trade for somebody like Chris Olave or somebody like that. Because, Brandon Beane made a trade for Amari Cooper last year. I wouldn't put it past him. Speaking of Brandon Beane, this is where this offseason, our friends up at WGR, sports radio station in Buffalo, who does crazy numbers. Buffalo Bills fans are psychotic for their sports radio in a good way. This is Brandon Beane taking WGR hosts, I don't have their names, I apologize, to task for criticizing the Bills for not going after wide receivers in the draft. Here's Brandon Beane defending himself.
A year ago, I get you guys asking why we didn't have receivers. But I don't understand it now. You just saw us lead the league in points when you add all the postseason. No one scored more points than the Buffalo Bills, including the Super Bowl champions. So you just saw us do it without Stephon Diggs, same group. How is this group not better than last year's group? Our job is to score points.
Yeah. Look, man, I get it. Bills fans, brought here via the algorithm. I get it. Yeah, at the time, you're like, yeah, screw you. That's right. 30 points per game. Yeah. It's come to roost. And it's got to suck that they had to watch Stephon Diggs just flat out go off against them. And that game was in Buffalo, was it not? That's cool. I understand the decision to move on from Stephon Diggs. I don't criticize for the Bills for that. And last year it looked like they were getting away with it. But one of the things that you're going to hope is that Keon Coleman would really come along. Keon Coleman's been a disappointment so far this year. He was benched for a quarter of one game for off-field something or other. Palmer had that deep strike early on in the Falcons game last week, but he hasn't done a whole, and then he got injured. So he hasn't done a whole lot. It's been very inconsistent. Samuel, very inconsistent. They're waiting for something to click. I think the more likely thing by the time the Bills face the Texans is that I don't think it's likely that those guys have clicked necessarily, especially since Keon Coleman seems to have either maturity issues or just isn't coming along. It would be that they trade for somebody like a Chris Olave. Let's see. King Colby says this is one hell of a foreshadowing. Yeah, I don't know if it's a foreshadowing or I'm either jinxing it. I'm 100% saying that the Bills can get these things right, and they've done it in the past. They started off 3-2 last year. They had that horrible performance against Houston, but obviously ended up doing much better than Houston for the duration and on into the postseason. Let's see. Hey, Seth, keep an eye out for Nwosu. He's about to put belt to ass on the Texans O-line. We'll see about this, Feast Mode. We'll come back afterwards. Thanks for coming back after watching one of my other Seahawks videos. I'm presuming you're since your name is Feast Mode, that you're a Seahawks fan, and especially for your belt ass. Belt ass has gotten really popular lately, huh? Did I miss is there like a song or something? Is it a rap lyric very popular as of late? That belt to ass has made a very. I feel like I'm seeing belt to ass all over various NFL content on social media. Or I think who was it? Was it Nico that was talking about it during the Ravens game? Yeah. All right, good. Belt to ass. Diddly poo. This is the Potty Mouth podcast. So there we have it. We'll reconvene in a few weeks. Bills fans, please give me other concerns or where I'm wrong in the comments. I always get a great education from opposing fans because obviously you guys watch a whole lot more Bills football than me. Like, subscribe. I do mostly Texans content, but I go around the league a bit and talk about all kinds of diddly poo.